Hey everyone, welcome back to Raising Unicorns by Harmon Brothers. And in today's episode, we explain how truth in comedy and truth in marketing work together to sell your products like nobody's business.
Unicorns are real. In the past 8 years, Harmon Brothers has helped raise 5 unicorns. Yes, that's 5 companies with $1 billion valuation, with at least 6 more companies right on the cusp of becoming unicorns. Here on Raising Unicorns, we share the lessons we've learned to help you grow your business by tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. It's time to start raising a unicorn of your own.
Hey guys, welcome to Raising Unicorns. I'm Kaitlin Snow, a partner in CD at Harmon Brothers, and we got here with us Ryan, also a CD.
Hello, fans. I'm back. I know you've been waiting, so wait no longer.
Stop shining, Ryan. You're outshining me.
Well, they just came for a big dose of Ryan, and
they got it.
They got it.
Sweet. So today we're going to be talking about truthful marketing, which I thought was a really interesting kind of topic to dive into just because, I mean, there's a lot of stereotypes about advertising. There's like Mad Men, and everything. I think that Harmon Brothers, I've been around since almost the beginning with them. And I think we've done a really good job, trying to be as authentic and honest. So we're just going to kind of dive in and talk about it.
Cool. Sounds good.
Take us away, Ryan.
One thing that everybody probably already knows is that we use humor to help sell products. And sometimes we use that simply to keep interest in the ad. But a lot of times there's a lot of truth to the jokes that we make. Mm-hmm. So, for example, in one of our recent campaigns, Skull Shaver, we have this sequence where the spokesperson, Mr. Smooth, goes into a barbershop and he's going through different examples of the competitors. And so first he approaches this really handsome barber, played by me. And,
nice.
And he's saying yeah, you can go to the barber, and this is all to shave your head, right? You can go to the barber, but it costs a lot of money. And so it's okay, that's true. And all of that's true. And then he says as a tag, plus he won't shut up about his kids, which isn't really what happens when you go into a barbershop probably, but it's just a fun joke to keep things moving and, keep things fun. But then he moves over to a guy shaving his head with one of those cheap Bic razors. Mm-hmm. And he goes, yeah, you could use one of these cheap Bic razors. It's, it's a lot cheaper than a skull shaver, but then you're going to leave your head a patchy, bloody mess. And then he reveals the guy's head, the side of the head that the guy's shaving, and it's covered in cuts. And so the way that it's presented is really fun, but it's totally that's the truth. That's what's going to happen. It's a lot easier to cut your head, to cut yourself when you're using a cheap razor. Those are examples of just a joke for the sake of keeping it engaging, and then a joke that is based in truth.
I feel like jokes exaggerate the truth, but because they're used in a very obviously humored way, the audience accepts it and knows that it's not us saying, when you use Bic razor, you will on average get 19 cuts on your head, or the scar tissue is 75% more,
Yeah, it's not like the beginning of those infomercials where they're black and white and they're fumbling with everything. It's not where it's okay, that was exaggerated and not for the sake of humor. That was for the sake of trying to manipulate people into thinking they need this product that they're about to pitch. But this, it's clearly a joke based in truth, but yes, exaggerated like you said.
And the viewer sees the exaggeration of all the little nicks and stuff. And they laugh because there's truth in it. And they're oh yeah, I've had those nicks.
Exactly.
Right?
They can relate to that. And it's kind of like memes nowadays. There's a lot of memes out there that are based in truth. And so people will share them. And, they say oh, that's so me, even though it's some exaggerated thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say maybe the kind of principle in this area is the jokes are highlighting and perhaps magnifying truth, right? What would be the wrong way of doing that?
The wrong way of doing it would just be making up a false pain point for the competitor or something like that, and then making a joke out of it. Because you could say oh, this product does this.
And they don't actually.
And it doesn't. And so it's no, I think that's...
Yeah, you can get sued for those things.
Yeah. Which we
Not
don't.
only are you dishonest, but there's a price tag on that.
Yeah.
So on that same kind of note, I talked about how you can lean into the negative of your product, or just the common things people would retort to say, oh, I don't need that because, right? And so with FiberFix, we did this. People can't I just hire a plumber? instead of use this, it's kind of like a duct tape, but it actually hardens and sets. And so like it's a permanent, solution for these like cracks or breaks or whatever.
Okay, so you're saying like be honest about potential things that could be seen as downsides, but like get up front about them and then show how they're not actually a downside.
Yeah. So for instance, one was like, well, can't you just call a plumber? Why would I need fiber fix? I'll just call a plumber. And the line is like, sure, you can call him and he'll, bill you for the consultation, any price of the new parts, the labor, your dignity and your wife. And just like keeps going. So he's making the point like, yeah, you don't need fiber fix, but who knows how much this is going to cost? Like, those sort of service bills just always are bigger than you expect, right?
Yes.
And then the other one I thought of was with Squatty Potty. People are like, well, can't you just use a stack of books? Why am I paying, X amount of dollars for this plastic that I could just use for stuff I already have? And so like we highlighted that. And I think that's honest to tell people. And it actually even, it shows the concern and then it resolves it before they can even think of it,
Yeah.
But it was like, sure, you can use a stack of books. And there's some joke about people who only uncultured people would use their books in their bathroom.
Yeah.
Essentially is what
So
it was
I actually have a funny story about this, the true story. So 2 of my youngest brothers were living together a while back. And the youngest one, and they were both aware of Squatty Potty. Mm-hmm. And the youngest one was a believer in it, but he didn't want to pay for it. And so he kept a longboard in the bathroom. And then I forget what else he stacked on top, but he stacked something else on top. So he did essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
And so my parents bought him a Squatty Potty for his birthday, I think, a couple years ago. And my other brother was so relieved because he was so sick of it.
Sick of that longboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's designed for the task. That's another thing, that it slides into the toilet and hides away for when you don't need it. So your other brother was happy about that.
Yeah, and I was happy to tell my brother, I was like, actually, longboards are for riding. And he was like, oh my gosh.
And not for pooping.
Yeah, and those are actually way more expensive than Squatty Potties.
Yeah, what if you broke that while you're pooping?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, and another thing this kind of reminds me of, maybe this pertains a lot of times with the price point of certain products, they can seem a bit daunting. And people can be very skeptical of them because it's like, well, why am I paying that much for this product? I feel like that's too much. So people could potentially see it and be like, that's pretty expensive, because I think it's currently, the one we were highlighting, I think is currently about $110. I was like, that's pretty expensive for like a razor. But if you really look at it, it's like, okay, you can do this super fast by yourself, very comfortably. Whereas if you went to the barber to get a straight edge razor shave, which are awesome, but they're expensive, and you have to go take the time to go over there, and you have to schedule an appointment and everything. And plus the skull shaver, they last a long time. The blades last forever. There's like all of these components that support that price. And so you got to get out ahead of people and like really address that. If you see people potentially being concerned with the price, you've got to address it and calm that concern up front.
And say like, hey, for as long as these razors last, you could be going to the barber X amount of times, which is like so much more money, right? Than the initial
much
purchase.
More. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really puts it in perspective.
Yeah, we always encourage our clients to have, those sorts of stats or things that you can hang your hat on and say like, look, this is the benefit of the product. These power claims, right? And we really want to make sure they've done their research and their homework so that those power claims are in fact accurate. Because like if you try to get a quick sale and you're doing a power claim that's not accurate, it's just going to breed like a bad customer experience, right? So you're not going to be getting return customers. You're not going to be getting good reviews or happy, like things about it in the marketplace. And so like it pays to be honest about it and to like set the expectations for the customer. Because like there's some things in life, you have different expectations. And so maybe like an event or something, it totally sucks because your expectations were different. But if you'd been told beforehand, you'd been like, this was fine. Right? It's all about those expectations and also why you want it, right?
Exactly. Even with movies, if someone like overhypes a movie, that can ruin it for you,
Yep.
Or if they're advertised in a way that's a little misleading, people can be really disappointed. I think
I thought this was a rom-com. And
exactly. No, I think a lot of people were disappointed back in the day with The Village at first because they thought it was going to be like this crazy horror movie, and then it wasn't.
Right. It was slow. It was more of a thriller, but yeah.
Yeah. So stuff like that. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, and kind of moving on to setting expectations. So with Lumi, when we first worked with them, we were trying to figure out the messaging. So, I mean, you tell people this is a deodorant and you can use it in your pits and your privates, right? And it was kind of like you rub it in, right? And it wasn't just the chalky kind of like deodorant. You guys can't see me, but I did deodorant under my armpit just now. Ryan saw.
She's applying deodorant to her armpit.
Yes. So the problem was they know it's for private, and we need to tell them to rub it in, but we also have to say, warning, don't rub it inside your body, right? Because that might be something they're like, well, if you're telling me I can use it on my privates, right? And so this was a really hard one to set expectations for, but withholding that information, I think would have been harmful for the customer because warning, don't put it inside your body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They needed to know, but it was also, we don't want to scare them. And it's also just muddying up, all the messaging and stuff.
Yeah, there's so much you already have to cover.
Yeah. And it took a really long time for me to figure out, because I was directing that one and going over the script a lot, how to say that fast. Because we had 2 paragraphs in our audio visual script. And it was how do I condense this? And so for the pits, apply Lumi like normal. For everywhere else, apply like a lotion. And I was just yes! Because
genius.
You don't put lotions in your body,
Nope.
but you rub it in. And you can also expect that once you put lotion on, it's still kind of there.
Yeah.
And some people are like, well, it's weird. I can feel it in my armpit and it's on my hands. Why is my deodorant on my hands? But you're like, well, you put lotion on your hands and it's just fine. You know? So it was a good way to kind of set those expectations. And it ended up, I think that being willing to tackle that problem and not brush it aside by, being dishonest or omitting. It actually led us to a better way to explain the product. And they've used it in multiple commercials since then.
It seems so obvious now. It's oh yeah, that's just what you say. That's how you would describe it. Mm-hmm. But if you were to say okay.
But it wasn't, and I'm a genius.
No, yeah. If you're tasked with it before that was ever written, it's okay, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to write clear, succinct messaging a lot of the time.
Yeah. So just it was cool to see the benefit from that, right?
Yeah, I love that.
It's not a drag to have to present your product truthfully.
Also, over time, if you have that practice and you're always making sure to be honest and upfront about everything, that just builds your reputation. Yeah. And so that's going to attract more of the right people to you.
Yeah, totally. And another thing is it's easy to tell the truth when you love the product.
Yes.
We've worked with so many products that we use and we love.
Yeah.
So we've also just kind of been lucky in that way.
We've been very lucky.
Yeah.
Because we still use, in our personal lives, apart from work, we're still using a lot of them,
yeah,
right?
What do you use?
So I have a Squatty Potty, of course.
Me too.
It's one of the best. I have a purple mattress.
Yep, me too.
I have I'm not bald, so I don't use the Pitbull skull shaver, but I do use their beard trimmer.
Nice.
And I love that.
I use their Third Love bras. Do you use those?
I don't, but if I continue on the pizza for every meal diet, I will. I think I'm on a crash course to needing one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, there's lots, and there's some right now that we're talking with clients that we can't say right now because they haven't signed, or they're potential clients, and it's oh man, I love your product. I really hope we can work together. Because it doesn't feel like work. It'll just be I'll be so excited to get up every day. And there's clients that have recently signed that I'm just so excited about because we love their products. We have a campaign coming out for Lifespan Fitness treadmills.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got 7 or so of them in the office. And so we can have them, we have them at a bunch of our desks. We can work while walking. And it's so great for getting your creative juices flowing, for it's for your posture, for burning calories, so many things.
The creative director, Tiffany, was perfect match for that because she just grasped onto that and was I love this,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I still have slice cutters. They're actually talking to us about some more content. We did some content for them last year, but it's essentially this ceramic blade that has a, I don't know the technical terms, but the way that the blade is cut makes it so that it doesn't actually cut you to the touch if you were to poke or even drag it across your skin. But when you apply a lot of pressure, it's really fine and precise. I use it for all my Amazon stuff, and I have one in my bedroom. I have one in my kitchen. It's one of those things where I'm how did I live life before this?
That's how you know it's a good product.
Yeah.
And you never want to go back.
Yeah, it's easy to tell the truth when you fall in love with their product, and then just you fall in love with telling the story the best, how. So
yeah, a lot of times that can be an easy way to know who to work with. If we have different people approaching us and we try their products out, because we do that, we'll try them out. It's important for us to have stuff that we are just bought into.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes trying it, right? There'll be samples that come in and people are like, I don't know, and they try it and they're like, can I have more? You know, and then other times the samples are just like, I want one too, where are they?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of those. And then sometimes for whatever reason, we'll be talking with somebody, they'll send their product over and I'll be hesitant to try it because it just doesn't look interesting to me. But then I do try it and I'm like, oh, I'm interested. Get on a call with them. They tell you more about it. And you keep using it, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to do a video with these guys. But then, for whatever reason, if they have something going on their end and they have to kind of step back for a little while, then it's so disappointing. And it's like, and we have that going on right now with somebody for whatever reason. But they're still talking with us, but it's kind of on the back burner right now. And I'm just like, oh, please sign with us. I want to do stuff for you guys. I think it's so great because we want to tell other people about it. Mm-hmm. It's like, look what it's done for me. I want to share this. When you get good news, you want to share good news, right? So that's how I feel about them.
It's interesting when at first you are hesitant to use the product and then you use it and that experience just sells you because then you're able also to look at what are the objections and the biases I have to overcome. I know quite a few people that work at Angel, right? Angel Studios, and they're the ones that helped The Chosen fundraise to get season 1 off the ground, and now they're on season 3. And like, I know personally some people who were very big in helping to make that happen. And I like, you know, 1, I'm Christian, so you think like, oh, okay, that's like a shoe-in. And then 2, it's like, I know people who know the creator and, you know, have worked with him. And I still had just my reservations of, oh, I'm sure it's good, but it's probably like a churchy show that's not as entertaining as other ones and felt more like a chore, you know. And then I finally started watching it when I was on maternity leave, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I binged it, you know? And so we've been working with The Chosen, and we did like our Devil campaign, which was kind of a Screw Tape Letters anti-spokesperson, you know? Don't watch The Chosen. They actually they hired cinematographers that know what they're doing, and you feel things for the characters, you know? And
is that your Kellen?
Well, yes, it was not good. I'm sorry.
I heard
this is my Kellen. Don't watch The Chosen.
I don't know if Kellen listens to this podcast, but I hope he does.
Yeah, Kellen, you gotta watch it. Kellen is one of our amazing. Like, he's written probably the most of any writer as far as the amount of campaigns throughout the history.
He's been with us since 5 years or so.
I think since 2016, maybe even.
Wow,
so 6,
lots. Yeah.
But so he's the devil in this campaign, and it was very helpful for me to. You know, I was kind of in that target audience of the people that weren't just these first hardcore fans that latched on, but kind of needed that like extra push because they had preconceived notions. So.
Oh, totally. Like, I think most people do, right? It's like, well, especially people that like us who love movies. You know, we love good movies and stuff, which is part of the reason why we're in this industry, because it's like kind of related. And so like when a show about Jesus comes out, first thing we think, oh, another
low budget.
Cheesy, low budget. You know,
they're gonna talk with thee, thous, and thines or whatever.
Yeah, which I'm okay with because I'm fancy. But
nice. So it was a little bit of a segue, but I think it can be helpful, and I think really helps in truthful marketing when you've been on that other side and you've had to be convinced.
100%. Yeah, so. I love the way that you put that. I'm glad you brought that up because that's so true. So another thing that you can do to build credibility and that trust with your audience for a product is involving a third-party research company.
Yeah, when Lumi came to us, they were either in the process or just finished a study with Princeton Consumer Research. And we used it in our first ad with them. And it says, like, in a head-to-head study with Native and Smiths, Lumi controls odor over 6 times longer than both, I think is how it's phrased.
Yeah.
And then we have a chart, and it shows, like, hours, and it shows Native Smiths, and then it shows, like, Lumi, right? And it has all the legal mumbo jumbo
like
at the bottom,
referencing
it, which is good because a little bit later, they actually had some legal action filed against them from one of those companies. I forget which one, but they were able to back their claims and say, look, this is not us smearing you guys. This was like, here's the research. Yeah. So, you know, we're glad like they took the time to, you know, get it accredited essentially, you know, and validated so that it doesn't bite you in the butt at the end.
Yeah.
And it's so worth it because, I mean, they were already on a great growth trajectory, but our ad really put them on the map with, you know, more growth and more of a household name. And so I'm glad that they had that forethought to be like, hey, let's get like third-party stuff, you know?
Yeah. And it wasn't to like you said, it wasn't to slight the other brands. It's just a matter of fact. It's like, look, this is better and this is how much better. And we're not the ones saying it. That's their words.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and it was so great as a director to be like, oh, wait, you have what? You have a study? Tell me, what is this? And to be able to use it in the ad, because once we introduced the problem of being smelly, and this is the musical ad, this French woman singing, like we introduce Lumi and we go into the bathroom, and that's like the first thing she says that leads with it, because it's the most powerful thing up front that you like want people to remember.
So powerful.
So.
Incredibly powerful. Yes. Love that.
Another thing I think that really helps with truthful marketing is highlighting customer reviews. We go through when we get new products and we'll kind of do an audit of their reviews, and you can see the consistencies throughout people of things that they love or things that they don't like, And with Kizik, people just loved how easy it was to put on, but there were some really poignant ones about ladies who were pregnant. And at the time when we were working on Kizik, Mandy Harmon was the CD on that one. I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought some, and it was just
game changer.
Yeah, it was like, I don't have to ask my husband to tie my shoes. Like, it doesn't have to be a big thing. And so when it was my turn to work on that client, we were doing kind of some shorter videos. I really wanted to highlight that value prop of like, pregnant ladies are going to love it. And the cool thing is if a pregnant lady thinks it's comfortable, like that also validates it for people who aren't pregnant.
Exactly.
It's not like you have to be pregnant to buy this. It was like, oh, she likes it, then I think I can get down with this, right? And so we did an ad for them that had one of the reviews, and I think it was something like, I'm 8 months pregnant and not having to ask my husband for help to put on shoes is a game changer. Something to that effect. Mm-hmm. And fun fact, I got to be the pregnant lady in it. And I was like, oh, this feels true. This is my truth. This is my daily life right now.
Yeah, you weren't acting. You starred, but you weren't acting.
Exactly. And that ad did really well for them. I was talking to Blake over there, and he said that it was one of their most successful ads they've ever run. And I think it's just because it's authentic. Like it's something that the customers loved, and we were able to present that in a way that people realized, oh my gosh, I would love that too.
And on a personal note, that was very validating to me, because before we did that, my very first concept that I pitched to Kizik had a female spokesperson who was 9 months pregnant. And I don't want to give any of the rest of it away because I don't want anybody to steal it in case we ever use it. But it was so fun, and I just think.
Yeah, no, you were right on the money with that, and I actually bought, before they released they have great styles, they're really modern and fun. Before they released those, they had some that were a bit more conservative and just like looked like, they weren't quite as like modern.
Right.
And I bought those, and I'm like, I'm spending a pretty penny to buy them, but I'm like, but it's going to be worth it because I'm pregnant, and and I did, and I did not regret it, And then since then, like I have like 6 pairs,
Yeah, I think I have 3.
They're
so
great.
Fun.
They should make sandals, because the only reason I'm not wearing them right now is because like summer I'm wearing sandals.
Oh, interesting. But you can already slip on your sandals. What would they do for you?
No, I mean, I got these
those kinds of
ones. I don't know, just somehow.
Okay. It's not flip-flops, but like sandals.
Like a Tiva or something.
Like a Tiva, yeah.
Yeah. So Kizik, if you're listening.
Yeah, Kizik, I know you're listening to every single second of our podcasts.
Yeah.
With all the free time you have.
One other thing maybe I'll add when it comes to, talking with clients and seeing if they're right fit, too, is have they nailed the product, right? Because if they don't know what the benefits of their product are, or if they don't know how their product works, it's hard for us to explain how it works. And then that misaligned expectation,
Yeah. Have you personally had that challenge before?
Yes. So we had an awesome ad for a company. We've done ads for them before, but we actually didn't release it because they made some changes to the product.
Oh, I remember this one.
And our commercial was then kind of outdated. And so it was unfortunate because it's a really cool commercial.
Yeah.
And they had a great idea, but essentially we made an ad about an idea, not one that was like tested in the marketplace.
Didn't that happen twice with 2 different clients, if I'm not mistaken?
There was another client, yeah. I didn't work with them personally.
Okay.
But I mean, the client that I'm talking about, like, they're great. We've worked with them a lot, and they're very entrepreneurial, and like, as many amazing business people do, they bite off more than they can chew. And granted, they have a lot of success doing it. But this was just the one that needed more feedback from the customer. That eventually made it so they changed quite a bit of the product. So.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. It's a good warning.
The moral of the story. Well, Ryan, I wish I could joke and say, well, I'm surprised we had a good conversation, but we always have good conversations. You're great to work with.
It was surprisingly good, as always.
As always. Yeah. But yeah, I think there were some good takeaways. You want to maybe go over some?
Yeah. So first of all, humor can highlight truths, and you can exaggerate certain truths with humor to really get certain points across in your ads. It's important to manage expectations. So like making sure that people really understand the product that you're advertising so that they're not surprised in a bad way when they get it.
And what that interaction looks like.
Yeah, how to work with it and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and remember, like, fall in love with your product and remember what it was like before you fell in love with the product, you know what I mean? And that can really help you to advertise that truthfully. We talked about the importance of third-party research, super huge. We love when there's a power claim we can hang our hat on. And then the customer reviews are one of those ways to find that truth, the thing that people love about it, and then you can also highlight those. So I'm really grateful that I've been able to work in a place where I was never expected to lie, about a product, that I feel like this company has always been focused on, being honest and, doing the best. And they've been able to, even like with the objections of, sure, you could use books, like with your Squatty Potty, like they turn it into something better because they recognize maybe the shortcomings of a product.
Yeah. I love that too. Instead of just like ignoring it and just like hoping people don't, that don't focus on it. Yeah. Take it head on. Yeah. Great conversation, Kaitlin.
Sweet. Give me a high five. You guys want to hear a high five? All right. So just keep listening. There's other people smarter than me that also talk on this podcast. And
like me. No.
Like Ryan. He's been in 2. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. See you, Kaitlin.
See you, Ryan, and listeners.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You're never too busy to plan your marketing strategy if you have the right fairy video in the back of your head. The Harmon Brothers that brought you ads like Squatty Potty, Lumi, Kodiak Cakes have now created the video strategy in a day for free. 24 hours from now, you could have a year's worth of ads, testing, messaging, and performance assets planned and in your back pocket, along with the rest of the money you made by taking our free advice. Go to harmonbrothers.com/video strategy if you have a business and you like stress-free results. Your profits can't wait to meet you.